But today, I think, the process of globalization has gone so far that we can no longer afford to think in those terms of a national interest narrowly defined. The present global economic crisis is a good example. It has been called the most correlated crisis in history. No economy is immune from it. This is a consequence of modern capital flows and the nature of modern corporations that are owned and operate at a global level. It's also a consequence of modern communications, which means that the whole world is following the crisis almost minute by minute across all continents. The result is that the draining of confidence has been simultaneous worldwide. Now, at the beginning of April, the next G20 summit is going to be taking place in London. It will take stock of coordinated international efforts to restore liquidity and to deal with insolvency and to regenerate growth and jobs. It will seek to rally against protectionist pressures. Under Canadian co-chairmanship, incidentally, in the Working Group on Regulation and Transparency, it will also be considering longer-term questions of the regulation of financial institutions, how to extend control over offshore institutions that have escaped effective monitoring, how to counter the so-called pro-cyclicality, the accounting rules, which encourage profligate lending in good times and then slam on the brakes with ill-advised force in the bad times, which has thrown the whole world economy into a dangerous skid. And beyond the immediate firefighting, I hope that the G20 summit will encourage us to think more systematically about economic balances and prosperity in a global context. For too long, the US has driven the world economy on the basis of massive borrowing and spending, both public and private, while the Chinese and other Asian economies have accumulated savings. In the coming period, perhaps we shall begin to see Chinese and Indian internal demand taking up the running, because we sink or swim together.